19 months of a surplus, and just looking through like different points of the off season. I don't really like calling it an off season because I haven't competed, so it's technically just a gaining phase, but off season sounds cooler, so we'll go with it. And then afterwards, just sort of talking through the plans. What are we doing going forward? When am I prepping? That'll be a good one to find out. But yeah, I'll have the visuals that I'm looking at. I've got them on my phone, and then I've got notes for each set of visuals up on my laptop in front of me. So I'll put the check-in shots over here with maybe body weight, dates or something or other. I'll figure it out later on. So yeah, these first set of visuals, this is like September 5th 2023. I've got it down to the exact day, and this was like a month before I started with Mr. Noah Campbell himself. So done 12 weeks with Noah. Pardon, losing my voice here. I think I've maybe coming down with a cold or something. But yeah, this was sort of like my introduction to bodybuilding. I was weighing like anywhere from 177 to 180 pounds in these shots, and like as you can see, starting off, bodybuilding posing was not a strong suit. Look at the thigh gap in the rear shots. No backwards lean. We're not being able to spread our lats, show any width on that rear double. We've got the knuckles facing forward on the front double bicep, which is really good. Quads are switched on in every shot. This is absolutely mega. This guy needs butcher's wet dream for sure. But you can see that like there is some muscle there. Like there's a foundation, because I had been lifting. Got my first gym membership in November 2021. I was doing a little bit of home workout stuff before that, but you can see in that like just under 2 year span, like I had built muscle. I sort of lived and breathed the gym. Like that's all I wanted to do. Obviously nutrition and stuff wasn't dialed in. Here in these shots, like previously, like beforehand, I had sort of locked in on the nutritional side of things. Like tracking everything like for like 2-3 months before this, pulled down a bit of weight. Like you can see, I'm semi lean here. I've got visible ab detail, but there's just not enough muscle, really. Then in terms of the next set of visuals, you'll see this is like sort of the leanest I ever got to. 168 pounds in these shots, and I've got here November 20th 2023. So in this diet phase that Noah put me through, have to give shout out to him. Absolutely brilliant. I did love my time with Noah, but like financially, working in a pizza shop, you're not really affording a coach at that stage when you're doing like 5 hours a week on $7.50 an hour. So had to part ways with Noah, and that began the self-coaching journey. So yeah, 165.4 pounds was the lowest in this diet phase. And here, like 168, so it's just like a few pounds, 2-3 pounds of fullness sort of returning to the physique. Like you can see on that rear lat spread, that does look quite good. And we did get quite sharp in this diet. Pulled off quite a lot of body fat. Like the hamstrings are getting like dug out. Like you can see there is detail there, because like with what minimal muscle I had. But like I just do need to step up in terms of muscularity to be able to get that next level condition that would maybe be worthy of stepping on stage with. Like you can sort of see some of my stronger poses, maybe the front lat spread. You can see it's potentially going to be one of my stronger ones when I grow a bit of muscle. You can see like my waist actually does get kind of tiny. I'm not blessed with the best hip genetics, but like the waist in general isn't bad, and you'll see in some of these shots like that we've got coming up, I can pull a very tight vacuum. So I'm gifted in that sort of way. Front double bicep vacuum's not great there, but it's just a posing issue. I remember looking at these shots every time I sent them over to Noah, and I was just like, man, I cannot pose at all. It's a really difficult thing to get started, and realistically, if you do have aspirations to compete, you should probably get started on the posing side of things. like straight away. Hashtag link in bio, Butcher's Wet Dream, Butcher underscore natural physique. Right, enough rimming him for this YouTube video. So blue trunks come out for the next set of visuals. We have here the 8th of May 2024. This is fast forwarding a whole 20 pounds up. So you can see, like, I did control my rate of gain quite well. There is 20th of November 168, 8th of May 185, so 20 pounds in, what's that, like a good 6 months. So that is a solid rate of gain. You can see I'm holding condition quite well. Like, midsection is still like pretty in shape. We've got delt veins, fasted first thing in the morning. Vacuum is kind of tight here. I'm not hitting that the best I've ever hit it, but like, I'm just not muscled enough. Like I'm seeing here, like a bit of striations in the chest, still holding on. Obliques always sort of stay in for me until like the last few weeks of the push-up. I did always have oblique detail. But like, yeah, I was just sort of living and breathing stuff here. Like, this was just before I joined Reese Fit for 12 weeks. That was again. Then things just working out. We'll leave it at that. But then, like, I started promoting coaching at this stage and moved gyms. So I went from Warehouse, Portadown, to the Dock in Ballynahinch, and you know, that's where Butcher, Darren, Cameron all train out of the Dock. So like that environment change was super important, and I do think it was needed. You know, better kit as well. I was sort of getting like really nerdy with my programming at this stage. You know, you'll know me now if you like follow my content quite regularly. I am a bit nerdy with like incorporating some sort of science in my training. But you know what, I do also like a yeah buddy row. I bet you haven't heard that term in a little while, but yeah, I got slated for them quite a bit. But like, yeah, I was just loving training, to be honest, and just like living and breathing the lifestyle every day. And that's what I'll always say about bodybuilding. I just like love the routine that comes with it. I've just realized I cleared those notes, but I probably shouldn't have done that because I'll need them to add on the YouTube video. So that is brilliant for me. We'll move on to the next visuals though, because now we put the trunks away. We're in the boxers. We've moved indoors. So this is post Reese Fit coaching. This is like around February 2nd, 2025. So before this, I was away in Amsterdam in December, broke my ankle. That was mega. You know, this was just before the Copenhagen trip with the Scottish boys. And, you know, I was just sort of loving life at the minute, you know, getting soft, but, you know, still not bad nick for 200 pounds. This is me solidifying 200 pounds. This is the first week I'd averaged that on the scale weight. And, like, I was happy here. Like, look at that vacuum for 200 pounds, like 32 pounds up. No, 34 pounds up. Like back detail in the upper back, you know, I post my rear relaxed here because I'm actually happy with it, because my erectors did stay lean for a long time, and I do like contribute that to how long or like how strong I got at hip hinging. Like you'll see, my erectors actually are probably my leanest body part by a country mile, if I'm honest here. I'd been running like a higher frequency setup since December. I sort of think so. Well, no, full body setup was December, and then upper lower rest from September 2024. So this is like 5 months, 4 or 5 months on a upper lower rest setup, and then had to do full body training with the broken ankle because obviously I couldn't get much proper compound leg work in. So all my leg work was literally like a single leg kickback, a single leg extension, and some like ham curls. So I knew there was no point having a separate leg day. So that's why I combined upper and those little leg isolations, you know, to make a full body split, you know, get that frequency in. And it like made me really enjoy that high frequency setup. And then I did switch to the full body setup from February, and then what month are we in? July, and I've just switched that at the start of this month, which is sad, but with the diet, I just couldn't recover from it. I was having to honestly go down to like 2 or 3 sets of pressing, and for me that wasn't going to be beneficial to my physique. But overall, this stint with the higher frequency stuff, I do think the full body setup especially, it did bring my physique forward massively. Like I remember looking at these 2 side shots specifically, like the side tri and the side chest, and I was like, I've actually built some muscle here. Like I was happy with arm development, like thickness through the chest. I posed the side tricep quite well. I do like the way I've posed that there, but I can still get more from my side leg, because I know my side leg is probably my strongest body part when it's posed correctly, but it is something difficult to stay switched on, or like keep switched on in your posing, because you can lose it if you're not like consciously driving that forward knee across the back one. But yeah, next set of visuals were the final ones of the push-up. Well, the final ones on home soil for the push-up. So if you look here, I was like 211 pounds, 11 and a half pounds on average. Half pound matters, mate. June the 9th, 2025. So this was before a week in Greece. Totaling like 47 pounds up from those first shots that I showed you. And you can see, like, not to blow my own trumpet or anything, but a lot of tissue was built, in my opinion. It was a very productive phase, to say the least. With 19 months of like sort of living and breathing it, you would expect a good bit of tissue to come on, but like just density, realistically, that's been put on. Like, if you look at them first shots, like I am just like a bikini athlete there. And then obviously there's a lot of adipose. There is a good 35 pounds of adipose to come on, but I would like to think I've gained a good 10 pounds of muscle, if not more. It would be ideal. So that's why I'm so interested with this diet, to see what I actually come down to and be able to, correlate a body weight with a certain visual. So that'll be so useful going forward to perhaps, when we go on to talk about this later on in the video. I've got the screenshots of the timeline that I want to talk about. Like, I think I'm going down to as low as like nearly 172 in this diet. And, comparing 7 pounds up, 172 to the end of last diet, I'm going to look so much leaner because of the muscle that I have. It's just going to let me unlock that like next level of condition. But that's to say, will I even be able to reach 172 pounds in this diet? Will there be a point of me going that low in body weight? Because training performance might start to take a hit, because I generally might be like very conditioned at that body weight, because I'm 6 foot, so like 170 pounds for someone at 6 foot is definitely like very lean. So we just have to see. Like, having my first phase like my first introduction to bodybuilding as a diet is a difficult one, because I've no body weights to like sort of compare the visuals, because I've obviously put on so much muscle with this first gaining phase that I don't know what body weight I'll be able to get down to in this diet. And it is just sort of a game of data collection. But as for this phase and going forward, I've got my 15-week aggressive diet. It's coming out as, I'm pretty much spot on with the timeline here. If I do double check, we're on the 16th of July, 14th of July, I should be sitting at 203.5 pounds. I was 203.8 today, and body weight is dropping fast this week. So I'll probably be ahead by the end of this week, and I do think I'll get ahead of the timeline in general. You can see I've like 2 highlights of like me taking a few days off. Portrush, I will be training. We're just going up the north for a few days. I'll be staying on plan. There'll be no off-plan meals there. But then 1st to 4th of September, will be my first sort of days off. I'll be aiming to hold body weight in that trip. I'll probably stay somewhat on plan just because I will be. I'm sitting at 180 pounds there. It probably would be quite easy to gain a lot of weight, but in hindsight, maybe this isn't a good idea to try and hold body weight. Maybe I should allocate, 1 or 2 pounds gained in this France trip. But, it's just going to be a game of discipline. Not being a dick with pastries and nailing 3 croissants for breakfast. It would be whey paste and berries, and like I might bulk cook some chicken to bring with me or something or the other. But I do sort of have to remain on plan because we don't want to. Obviously, I'm not 100% on plan. There will be croissants consumed, but we can't bottle this diet. I do think this is very important, and I don't want to go and ruin 10 weeks of dieting before this. So I don't want to go and ruin it. I do have a 2.5 pounds a week rate of loss scheduled in like every week for the whole 15, and the likelihood of that slowing down is quite high. So I probably should factor that into the timeline, but we haven't got it here. Initial timeline, and it can be rough, and that's why I always say to clients when I'm timelining them, like, this isn't gospel. This gives us a rough idea of where we're coming down, and it's lovely that we're on track with it now, but things can change. I can get to 180 pounds and be pretty lean, and I'm like, I don't think there's a need to go down to 171. But then again, I might need to, and I might feel great. Training performance might be holding perfectly, and I'm like, having this 171 visual compared to my last 165 visual could be super important, and it would be super important for the 2027 prep. There you go. I've leaked the information, but if you do follow me on Instagram quite regularly, you'll probably know that I've talked about the 2027 prep. So yeah, next up we've got like a year in a gaining phase. Quite a slow rate of gain. I think I've programmed 0.8 pounds per week, so nothing too heavy. I'm getting up to a similar body weight of what I got to in my last peak gaining phase. This is like the last extended push for tissue, and like I might not even get that heavy. It generally is just a game of seeing how I look at the end of this diet and what needs to go where. Like, how much do I need to push up to actually gain the tissue, because I would like to gain a little bit leaner this time. I don't think I need to get in the condition that I got into like my last 2 months of the gaining phase. I'd say it faded quite a bit. I was in decent nick come December time, just before I headed off to Amsterdam, broke the ankle. I probably had something to do with it, but I don't mind getting that soft, but it's not coming from like I hated the way I looked and I felt awful in the off season, because I didn't. I felt great. I didn't really have any biomarkers pushing me back to tell me to end that phase. It was generally just like, I am a bit soft here, and this might not be the best, most productive spot to continue gaining muscle. If we look at like insulin sensitivity, I probably wasn't partitioning nutrients to build muscle. Protein accretion quite high for sure, but like actual nutrient uptake probably tapered off towards the end, because fasted blood glucose was, there you go lads, Custard's Lifestyle Looped group chat, you've heard me say it, fasted blood glucose, yeah, like it was tapering up. Would you say tapering or titrating up? Not purposefully titrating, but it was gradually going up. So like, body was telling me that maybe this isn't the most anabolic spot for you to be working in. But I do think anywhere, if I reached 213 was my like peak body weight that I weighed in at. If I stayed at 200 to 205, I do think like that's a solid place to be building muscle. Like, I remember my shots pre-Amsterdam. Amsterdam was December 4th to December 6th. Like, I had like quad separation still, obliques were still in, bit of delt lines. It was a good look for like was that good 15, 14, 15, 13 months in a gaining phase. So like even still then, I'd controlled my rate of gain really well. And that is one thing that I actually would comment on. My phase probably wasn't executed best towards the end. You know, my rate of gain actually picked up in the last 2-3 months, and that's probably what sacrificed a lot of condition. But I was just sort of in the mindset where my training was going so well. Like I was the strongest I'd ever been. Like I didn't think I would be anywhere as near as strong as that ever. You know, like a squat pressing 11 plates, you know, hinging, like stiff leg deadlifting over 5 plates aside for perfect like execution, for like 5 reps. You know, hack squatting 4 plates, never thought I would touch that. So like I was just like, you know, we'll accept this rate of gain because training is just so good. But like that's an improvement I could make next push up, for like that extended one. I won't let that rate of gain get out of control towards the end. It should be the opposite. It should slow down towards the end, not pick up. But I was silly there. Then we head on to the pre-prep diet. So all being well, if I do stick to the timeline and start that at 211 pounds, that would be the peak of that push-up. It's like a 12.5 week diet, pulling off again that 2.5 pounds a week. Could potentially be a bit more aggressive, but I just have to see where things are. You know, I'm going to bring it up every time. I don't know what I'll look like this time around, because I don't know how much muscle mass I've gained in this push-up. Yeah, it's all well it's all well and good. That's the saying. All well and good, like estimating how much I've gained, you know, with that 10 pounds figure pulled out of my ass. But like, we really never know. I'd finished this phase around 185 pounds. And, you know, I'm starting to think in my head after this, we have to have a short gaining stint. I think it's 18 weeks. And that is the final push for tissue before prep, with a very slow rate of gain. And I am using my like past visuals. This is why I bring it up, because it's so important. I have visuals at like 185 pounds, 190 pounds. And I know, with added muscle tissue, like in that condition that I was last time around, that will look a lot better. So that could be a prep start point at that 190 pounds. And that's why I've got it timelined in to start prep at that 190 pounds figure. Because did I bring up visuals at 185? Yes, I did. Blue trunks. Like I can start, I might pop them up on the screen again, or I might not. I might be lazy. But like if I get them up on my phone, like I'm not in bad condition here. You can start prep from there basically. But that condition, that physique is going to look a lot better this time around, because the added muscle tissue, you know, you've more muscle, same body weight, you're going to look leaner. So it could definitely be a prep start point, that 185 pounds, even plus 5 pounds for the 190. Like I do think that is not like drastic to start prep from. Realistically, if we're looking at a stage weight, truly skinned, I would like my money to be on 170 to 175 pounds. You know, that could be totally off again. I might be heavier, but I don't think I will get round to that 165 pounds mark ever again, really. I'd like to think not, with the muscle that I've added, but you generally never know. And I'm excited for it. Like I generally I'm loving this dieting phase. Just seeing what I look like, you know, visuals sharpen up every day almost. Like I wake up, midsection's tight, it's looking leaner. I can pull my vacuum a little bit tighter every single day. You know, there's no hunger, so it's generally just like a fight to retain performance, and I love it. It's like a new challenge than what I was used to in the gaining phase. But yeah, that is a wrap on the video. I hope you did enjoy it. I did enjoy making that as well, and looking through all the visuals, what I looked like in the past, and like remembering what sort of like was my environment or like situation in life when I looked like this. And it's funny now, because I do think I'm in the best spot that I've ever been in right now. You know, coming down bodybuilding wise, everything is going so smoothly in this diet. You know, job wise, it complements bodybuilding so much. coaching wise, it's on the upscale. I did mention when I started that, like July time last year. So we're just coming up to a year, or just past a year, since like starting advertising coaching, and that is pretty sick. And generally, just like upcoming things, like I've more trips coming up to see the Scottish boys, going over to Birmingham for, well, we're flying into Birmingham, it's in Derby for Butcher's posing seminar. And yeah, life's just in a good place, but I have to go for steps now, so I am going to wrap up the video. I haven't said this yet in either of the first two YouTube videos. If you did enjoy it, drop a like, drop a subscription. Fucking balls that up. Hit the. And I'm not gonna ask you to hit the bell. You don't need to turn notifications on. But like, drop a like, boys. That'd be pretty cool if we can smash 50 likes on this timeline video. You will all get one serving of MV Pre 3.0. I think I have. But yeah, that's it, boys. And thank you once again for watching.